Good morning, it's Shanna. This week we are going to move on to shelf 5. Is it 5? I think so. If not 5, whatever shelf it is in the title, that's the shelf we're doing today. And technically this one is not even a shelf. These are all my outlier decks. These are the decks that I have in my nightstand. I have a dresser in my closet that I use on my morning altar, which is in my closet. And then decks that I have like on my nightstand in addition to in. And then I have a cupboard. I have 3 decks downstairs in the kitchen that I use in the morning. So these are my outlier decks, the ones that aren't really slotted on a shelf, but that get used regularly. So we're going to jump right in, and there are quite a few, so I won't be flipping through every card. More than likely all of these though will have walkthroughs somewhere, and if for some random reason there isn't a walkthrough and you'd like to see one, let me know and I will make that happen. Okay, we're just going to jump right in. The first one is the Forest Fae. This one I keep in my nightstand. A lot of these I would keep like on my nightstand. I have a little basket of books where I keep, obviously, books and a couple decks, but I like to keep, generally speaking, I'd rather keep my decks in the drawer, only because then they're not dusty. I don't have to worry about them getting dusty, and it's one less thing I have to dust every week. But I have found that if I put them in the drawer, then they're out of sight, out of mind, and I don't wind up using them. So I guess all of that to be said, I do use this one when I think about it, and I enjoy having it as a bedtime deck, but it's not one I see, and so that I pull out regularly, to be fair. This one, I mean, honestly, again, it's just a nice little quick bedtime message. I don't really use it for anything specific. This one gets a lot of airtime, I feel like, not a ton, but a decent amount. It's beautiful. These are the backs. This is by Nadia Turner. I feel like I know she's done a couple other decks. This is a rock pool. I have a few of these actually, and I really like them. The size is just kind of perfect. So that is the first one. Next up, I've had this one for a while. This was Dawn Michelle made me do it back in the day. And I just love this one, but despite my keeping it in my nightstand, I don't use it that much, but I'm okay with that because I really like it. I like the colors, I like the keywords, the messages in general, and I feel like it's one that you can pair with just about anything, generally speaking. But again, it's just kind of a one keyword, quick hit right before bed if I'm got like a really specific question, which usually at bedtime, if I'm gonna pull a card, I usually do have a specific question, maybe about my day or about the upcoming day. And you know, the decks I keep there are good at answering those questions, which is why they're there. And this is one of them. While not used often, I adore it. Did I say it's by Heather Hopes? She's on Etsy. I like the other shelf videos. I won't be linking everything below. I know I'm awful. I bought this secondhand, and the person I bought it from edged it. It does come with a guidebook. It's a little, actually no, it does not come with a guidebook. I think, if I remember correctly, it comes as a PDF, and the person I bought it from put this book together, which was amazing. So, something that you could do if you wanted. Yeah, cute little concept that they did. So I feel lucky that I got this from that person. Okay, so back to linking. I won't be linking all of these. There's too many. I'm trying to do 2 videos each week while I'm doing these shelf tours, and it's too much time and effort. I don't have the time and effort. However, if there's something you can't find, feel free to message me or comment, and I will absolutely get you a link to where I bought it. The only thing I will say to that, since there aren't links, please be careful and do your due diligence in making sure that the decks you buy are real decks, not copies, so that the creators, especially these indie creators, are getting the money and recognition that they deserve. Okay, all of that aside, next is the Spirit Cats. I love, love, love this deck. I have the Witch Cats. I feel like, did I already show that one? Yeah, I did show that one. This one I keep inside my nightstand, but not because I don't use it. This is another one I go to quite often. There's something on here. What is that? What did I do? I don't know. I'll check that out later. These are just nice little messages. Each one has a message on the back. I guess I'll kind of go like this. Maybe I'll just kind of flip back and forth between them, but actually here. Let's do this. We'll put it up there so that you can still see the keyword when I flip it over. Anyway, what can I say about this deck? It's an easy go-to. Okay, sorry. I'm really bad at this. This whole double-sided one. I'm slowing down. I'm focusing. What can I say about this deck? The energy is very cat-like. It's very sweet and comforting. It's like a little purr in your hand, but it's not going to mince words. It's not going to tell you something you want to hear just because you want to hear it. It's going to give you the message, it's going to deliver it with a punch, and then it's going to walk away and it won't turn back. Just like a cat. And I love it. I mean, look at these little guys. They're so sweet. They have the best names. Vision. We have Catalyst. And these are the names of the cats. Mystery. Oh, I lied. Mystery. Esmeralda. These are not the names of the cats. Look at me acting like I know things about my own decks. I feel like some of these might be the name. Doesn't really matter. Okay. I am way off course here. I just need to focus. It's okay. We're just doing this. I love both of them. I do tend to use the Witch Cats version of this more in the darker half of the year, just not for really any particular reason other than it's called Witch Cats, and so it kind of has that vibe. Because I feel like the artwork is very similar. The colors aren't any darker necessarily or more witchy. They're just different. And I really like that. It's a nice, it's a full write-up. And I think you get plenty of a message. I feel like I have paired this with various things. I feel like I've paired it with the Paulina Tarot. Gosh, I don't even know. I'd have to flip back through my Instagram. This one pairs beautifully with a lot of different decks, though I will say. I'm going to put this... Did I get this wet? How weird. I don't know. It's got like texture on it. Like I got it wet. Who knows? Could have. This is by Nicole Pierre. I believe you can still get this on Etsy. Fairly certain. And I know she's coming out with a traveler's version of each of these, so smaller. Okay. Up next is this Garden Dragons. I feel like this has been getting a lot of YouTube time lately. It's been shown a few times in oh, I know why. It's because Kate over at Moonflower Moments has been showing it. And then Danny just recently put out an animal deck video where she showed all of her animal decks, and this was on it. I love this deck. This one sits on top of my nightstand. This is a tried and true nighttime oracle deck for me. I adore the messages in this guidebook. Every one, you've got a keyword. It talks about the dragon's appearance, as the garden dragon. It tells you about their habitat, which is just for fun. But sometimes, even reading this, sometimes you can kind of get a message out of that. And then you've got your field notes, which if you know anything about me and the Little Bird Tarot, I love this concept, the field notes. This book is kind of where I took that idea from. Not that this is, it's not a unique idea by any means, but I love it. And then you get your meaning. And every one is just so poignant and sweet and But again, it's not a love and light kind of thing. It's very to the point. You know, these guys have claws, they have spines, they have, you know, they have their own unique personalities for every single one. And this is one I might, I really hate to buy a backup deck, but I just love this one so much. And the artwork is so unique that I might buy a backup deck just so that, I don't know, for all the reasons, right? Why do we buy backup decks? Adore. This is the back. This one's been out for a while. I want to say maybe like 2007, although I could be wrong. I don't know. What do I know? Without looking at the guidebook, but it has been out for a while. Okay, up next is the Greenwich Oracle. This is by Sherilyn Darcy and is the same title as the Greenwich Oracle that I showed probably on shelf 1 or 2. I love this deck. This is actually a repurchase for me because I think I bought this deck and the Herb Crafters at the same time, which was early in my tarot and oracle journey, which, whatever, such a silly term, but it is what it is. It is what it is. And for whatever reason, I guess because I thought, well, I don't work with plant decks, and I think I got rid of it or rehomed it at the same time that I rehomed the Herb Crafters because I don't know, I wasn't vibing with it, but I adore this artwork. I just love it. I love the keyword. I like that you get the fruit or the vegetable or the flower on each one. Dahlia. These are my favorites. I actually have some of these on my kitchen table from my back garden. One of my favorite flowers, maybe my very favorite flower. The messages in the guidebook are lovely. You get the keyword, which is on the card, what the card is, and then you get like a quote or a poem for every card. Then you get the meaning of the card, the cultivation of whatever it is on the card, and then magical correspondences, which I love. Like, who doesn't want magical correspondences with their card? And then for everyone, you get a spell. Like, it's the perfect little oracle. I adore it, and I have no regrets repurchasing it. This one's going nowhere, despite the fact that I believe the other one, the other Greenwich, may get rehomed, but it's not in my rehome pile yet, so we'll see. I've repurchased enough decks at this point that I don't want to do that again and again. So this is a great one. Oh, this is one that I keep downstairs. I keep this in my kitchen. I like to pull it out when I'm making dinner, or I keep it with my coffee just because, you know, when I reach for my coffee mug every morning, sometimes I'll pull this just for a keyword for the day. But this feels more like a midday kind of deck versus a morning deck. But I have used it in the morning, regardless. I like to use it if I'm making dinner and I think, oh, I'm using lemons tonight in my dinner, or, you know, whatever it is, bay. I'll pull out this deck and read the message, and sometimes the little ritual that's in here will correspond or relate to the dinner I'm making, and so I can kind of incorporate that in my dinner, and I think that's so much fun. I think a deck like this is very utilitarian in that you can pull it out, you can relate to it in that moment and use it, and I love the idea of using our decks, not just necessarily reading with them. So that was a long-winded explanation of why I love this deck, but now you know. Okay, next, actually I'm going to try to repile these. Now, I do not know the name of this deck. This is from Etsy. I call it my coffee deck. These are the backs. It's just, you know, it's stock photography, but I love it. It's so sweet. I love the little sparkles on every single card. I love that every card is coffee or hot chocolate, potentially. The keywords are amazing. I love them. You know, they're everyday keywords, easy to use and read with, and so for that reason, much in the same way that Robin at Robin's Reflections, I believe, says that she uses this card. I use it in the same way. You know, it's down by my coffee. I pull it out in the morning. I'll just, you know, pull a card, sip my coffee, and on a perfect day, this will be an alternative to scrolling on my phone first thing in the morning, you know? And so if I can just pull this and reflect and put my phone somewhere else for 5 minutes, even if it's just 5 minutes, it's just a nice way to start the day. I'm not sure why it makes such a difference, but it does make a difference in the way I feel, in the way that I start my day, and my outlook on everything that I do that day. So I just love it. I think it's great. This little bag, I'm kind of proud of this bag. I love it. Random, but it fits perfectly. Obviously, if you want to know the name of this one, I would be happy to let you know. I'll find it, and if you're curious, comment, and I'll find it and get it for you. Next is the Witch's Kitchen. This is both Dawn Michelle and Krista at Krista Chronicles made me do it. I went back and forth on this one for a while. This is kind of a series. I don't think I'll be getting any of the others. Probably, I might get the Familiars. It's just, I don't know what it is about this deck that's so intriguing and satisfying, but it is. And I use it in the same way that I use the Green Witch that I just showed. You know, if I'm using any of these ingredients while I'm making dinner, I like to pull this out, kind of contemplate the keyword, what might that mean? And sometimes I have found that, say I'm using rosemary in a dish, so I pull out the card, I see the keyword memories, I'll probably pull out the guidebook, you know, the entries are relatively short. And I have found that a lot of times the message will correspond with whatever it is I'm going through in the moment. And I love that. So we've got like a little incantation here with the keyword, chili peppers guidance, recommended recipe, which I haven't used, but it's nice to kind of see and be like, oh, okay, maybe an idea. And that's not to say I wouldn't, it's not one that I have utilized. So, and then revealed, it kind of gives a little bit of a history, and it's nice. I like it. Again, it's just kind of that utilitarian in the moment. You know, this is probably late 90s, early 2000s, kind of like Photoshop, but it's done well. Every background, you know, the room in the background is the same. It's just the foreground that changes, but it's done well. You know, it's clear. The image is nice to look at. You know, you've got your herbs and your little cat and your rat, a little bat and candles and books. And it's just, you know, it's a little witch's kitchen. And I think the ingredients are they're common, they're everyday, you know, ones that you're going to use. And I think the keywords are nice. You know, they're unique enough. They don't feel like every other tarot deck. And I feel like if they're ones, I feel like the ingredients, while some of them might not be common, like you might not find them in your kitchen, they're probably ones that a lot of us have in our witchy collection. It's, you know, I imagine anyway. So again, I enjoy the deck. I like the aesthetic of it. I like the feel of it, as in its energy. Here are the backs. Gilded edges, like, I don't know. I don't really care for gilded edges, but it's not like a deal breaker or anything. This is by Barbara Meikle, John Free, and Flavia Kate Peters. This is a Llewellyn deck. So, all right, this is one that I keep on my morning altar, which is in my closet, which seems really weird and random. I have a walk-in closet. We've got a couple dressers in there, and one of them is just mine. And so in one of the drawers, I keep my reading glasses. I keep my like crystal bracelets, all my like stretchy crystal bracelets, and then I have my decks. Although I have found that this deck is the one that almost always sits out on my altar. It's just, I just adore this deck. I love it. The messages are great. There's only a couple of cards that are kind of like, meh, take it or leave it, but I haven't taken them out of the deck. So, I mean, that says something. I love this artwork. It feels very nostalgic to me. Yeah, so I feel like this artwork feels very like early 2000s, mid 2000s, where it feels mommy nostalgic to me. That's not really like a term, but it's the term I'm using. It just makes me feel like when I was, mid 20s, late 20s, early 30s. And I don't know, it's just that cozy stay-at-home mom phase of my life. And I was really happy, and I loved that phase of my life, and this deck makes me feel that. So this is another one that I could take it or leave it, but again, it doesn't bother me. Forgot to mention, all of the messages are on the book. Did I say the guidebook? The messages on there are all on the back, which I appreciate, because most of the times in the mornings, I just don't have a lot of time. And so to be able to just shuffle the deck, and this one always gives me a jumper, always. And just to be able to read the message, and then most of the time I will just set it on top. And I don't do this every morning, and so a lot of times this will sit, on my altar for a week or two sometimes, and I just see it every morning, and it's just it's a comfort, and I love it for that reason. This is by Caroline Myss, M-Y-S-S. I have a couple decks by her, and I don't know who the publisher is. Does it matter? Probably not. I think this one might be out of print, although you can find it used for relatively inexpensive. So, adore. All right, next is the Empaths Empowerment deck. All of these next ones, except for the last two, all of these are ones that I keep in that drawer in my closet for my morning altar. And if I'm not using that other deck, I'm most likely using this deck. I love the messages. These are the backs, which I find very nice. The message is on the card on the bottom, and this is just another one. If I'm feeling exceptionally vulnerable, or if I'm having a day where I just feel like I'm on the verge of crying, this is a great deck for me. I'll pull it out, and it just sort of gives me the space to feel all of that, like, when you get sunburned and you don't want someone to touch you because it's so extra sensitive to be touched. That's how sometimes I feel. And when I feel those kind of days, this is the deck I'll pull out, because I just feel so extra sensitive. And it just gives me the space to feel that and not feel boxed in necessarily. It gives me a focus, something to think of other than that extra sensitive feeling that I might be feeling. It's a very comforting deck for me without feeling, it's not really like a hug deck. It's more of like it feels like if your therapist was your best friend, that's kind of how this deck feels for me. Like it's just going to give you a little whisper, like a little, I don't know. Sometimes when you come out of therapy, and your therapist has asked like a profound question, and you're like, oh my God, I've never thought of it like that before. This is kind of that deck for me. So I enjoy it. It's a favorite. I don't remember where I saw this. I feel like I did see it on someone's channel, but I've had it for probably at least a year. Probably 2 at this point. I feel like I'm losing track now that it's been, about 5 years that I've been doing this. I no longer remember how long I've kept, or how long I've had a lot of these decks. And it's probably irrelevant anyway. So, okay, up next, the Power of Surrender cards. This one I saw on Kate's channel, Moonflower Moments. This is another one. Is this the same? Yes, it's the same creator as the last deck. And it's very much the same concept. If I'm just feeling overwhelmed and feeling extra sensitive, I just, I come to these cards, and for the exact same reason, it just feels very soothing. It makes space, which taking up space for me is very difficult. Very, very difficult. Like I remind myself, you're allowed to take up space almost every single day because it's not something that I'm good at. And this deck helps with that. Anytime something can make space for me or give allowances to me, I respond to it. I don't know. I just like this one. These are just so powerful and meaningful. Like, I just feel like a lot of these, not a lot of, just decks in general, a lot of decks in general don't feel meaningful, which I guess is why we rehome them, right? So when we find the ones that are meaningful, they're precious. So, okay, next. This is the Fairy Tarot by Radley Valentine. This is the only tarot deck I keep in my dresser for my morning altar. This one I had at my work. I've mentioned before one of the things we sell at my work are tarot decks, tarot and oracle decks. And this one was in the clearance section for, I don't know, like a year. And I kept looking at it, and the artwork is not really my cup of tea. But for whatever reason, I just kept coming back to it and thinking, but I kind of really like it actually, Again, it feels a little bit nostalgic, not maybe kind of in the same way as like mommy nostalgic, but just nostalgic in general. It feels very early Photoshop when I feel like we sort of put wings on everybody. I don't know if you used to use Photoshop. Hopefully you know what I'm talking about. I feel like that was a thing. We just, you took a picture of your kid and you added wings to them in Photoshop. But I do like having a single tarot deck in there to utilize so that decision overwhelm is not a thing. If I want a quick reading again in the morning, sometimes at night, like if I'm in there, getting ready for bed or whatever, before I head into bed, just having this option. I don't know about you guys. Part of the reason why I have an altar in my closet is that is my sort of reset chamber, you might say. When I come home from work, if I've had an overwhelming day, I will go in my closet, keep the light turned off, and I'll just lay there because it's quiet. The clothes sort of muffle, all the outside sounds. And so to be able to go in there and just have a quiet tarot reading with potentially decks, but usually I don't really combine, it's not really a place for me to combine tarot and oracle. But I like that the message is on the card, again, for the exact same reason as before, in that it's a quick reading. It will tell you exactly what the card is. And I appreciate that, that is the space for this energy. And I just really like it. Despite its cheesiness, I like I like the colors. I like that each of the suits are a different color. So very enjoyable. I don't really go to the guidebook, so I can't really speak on it. Looks like you've got a relatively short message for each one, about a page. And then maybe for same for the majors, about a page and a half, depending on. But yeah, I don't think I've ever even cracked the guidebook open. I don't feel like I need to for this specific deck for the way I use it. Here are the backs. It's kind of a perfect deck for my closet morning altar. Okay. Next is the Secret Garden Oracle by Sarah Stacy. This is an Etsy deck. One of the worst boxes I've ever encountered. It's cute. But I mean, this part, I don't even remember how this all came together. Like, this has torn. There had to have been, I feel like there was another flap. Anyway, and this piece is already coming off. Like, it's literally the worst. Yeah, because there was another piece that came up and that this could like slip into. Not a fan. The deck, however, is really cute. different color backgrounds, which probably is the biggest reason I was sold on it, other than the concept of this deck is that she's taken pages from The Secret Garden, hence the name, the book, The Secret Garden, and shrunk them down to the card size and then added a keyword and an image. And it's just a sweet little deck. You know, it's just another quick read or, you know, quick message. And even though you can't see the whole passage on here, I do like to use it as sort of like a bibliomancy concept. Yeah, it's an enjoyable deck. I like it. I like the colors, the messages. This is very much like a sweet, you know, there's no confrontational vibes to this one for me. The images that she chose are very cute, happy. I have no complaints. Just a quick, because I feel like this one maybe isn't shown a lot here on YouTube. Now you have all the cards. Yeah, the guidebook, I don't know that I've really bothered with it too much. It does give you like a key phrase and then sort of what it, you know, keys represent access, solutions, opportunities. It just gives you a tiny, you know, tiny little write-up for each card. So I haven't really used it. Haven't really needed to. Everything I need, I feel like, is on the card. Okay, the next deck is by her as well. Count the Ways, A Poet's Oracle. This one I kind of went back and forth on, wanting, didn't want. I like the concept, but I'm not much of a poet. It's not really something I'm drawn to. However, and I've mentioned this, I think, in a couple other videos, one of the poets that she used was one of my grandmothers. So, you know, obviously I had to get the deck. And each one just has, you know, a line from one of their poems. I don't really use this deck, if I'm being completely honest, but I like having her energy in the space with me. It's probably the very last card. Anne Bradstreet. If ever two were one, then surely we. So she was, I believe, my 10th great grandmother on my dad's side. So she was the first published female American poet. Maybe not even female. I feel like what I read was that she was the first published American poet. Obviously, she was one of the first that came over, you know, from England and settled here with her husband. And a lot of her poetry has to do with, I don't know about a lot, but some of her poetry had to do with her husband and how much she loved him and they got along really well, at least according to her poems. And she was quite a forward thinker. There are feminist themes within her poems. And she actually, I think at least once she references witchcraft, but it's more in the way of expressing that she didn't want to be accused of being a witch, if I remember correctly. Anyway, all of it was just really interesting. And I thought she was an interesting person. So, of course, I bought all the Anne Bradstreet things that I could find. There are a couple of biographies written about her. And then there's also a children's book written about her. So, of course, I have those. Anyway. All right. This one is one that I've tried to get into. Despite adoring the artwork, I just haven't. And maybe I just haven't like needed this kind of healing, but I think this one's going to get rehomed. I just love the artwork. The colors are so soothing. But these kind of decks where it sort of like gives you direction to do something, I struggle with. Because part of it is that that you can't make me mentality, which is so dumb, but it is what it is. And again, I haven't needed this kind of healing. Like I don't know. I suppose if I went through every card and read the guidebook, I could be like, yeah, I could heal in this area. You know, there's probably a handful of those cards in here, but if I'm going to heal, this probably isn't the way I want to do it. It doesn't feel intuitive to me, or helpful necessarily. And I feel like more than anything, I think my biggest issue is that I'm a little afraid of digging into these areas and feeling triggered and not really knowing what to do with it, if I'm being completely honest. I feel like this kind of healing and energy type work is something that I need to reserve for an actual therapist, because it's kind of a danger zone otherwise. So yeah, this one's gonna go in, especially now just talking about it, this one's gonna be in my rehome pile. I feel like it's been talked about quite a bit, so surely, I know there's walkthroughs. I feel like Lisa Pepez actually has a deep dive of this one, if I remember correctly. So I will put this in my rehome, and it will be shown at the end of this series when I pull out all of the rehome decks in one video. So keep that in mind if you're interested. Okay, the last one that I had in my closet is the Love Your Inner Goddess. This is another one that has nostalgic mommy energy. I don't know. I don't know how else to explain it. This is by Alana Fairchild. The guidebook is relatively thin, but you get, a nice little write-up for each of them. You've got spiritual guidance, which sometimes I really appreciate. And then you get a little ritual for each card. Again, I don't dive into the guidebook a whole lot. Same reason as stated before. These are in my closet where I don't spend a lot of time on each of them, other than if I were to pull a card, it might sit on my altar for several days, couple weeks, that kind of thing. I just really like the artwork. It's very of its time, right? But I enjoy it, and I like the messages. It does feel a little young, but I'm okay with that. I feel like the energy of this deck lends itself to it. And I enjoy it. I like the colors. I don't mind that some of them are horizontal, because again, I'm just going to be pulling one card at a time, so that doesn't bother me. Okay, that is the last deck for my closet. I have one more that I actually keep in my nightstand drawer, which this one, Carrie just mentioned this one on one of her videos, and I was like, ooh, I need to pull that out and try that. I think it was her using magic with tarot video, if I remember correctly. I don't really use this deck, but I really want to try it for that purpose. Using the cards as a placeholder for a ritual, something to focus on, something that you want to work with in that ritual or spell. I hadn't really thought about using it in that way, and I thought it was really unique and useful. Again, I like being useful way. So this one I probably need to put over here on my shelf, so that which it was on my shelf for a long time, and I thought, well, maybe I just need to move it to my nightstand. But now that I can see a purpose for it, I think I will put it here on my shelf. And try to remember that I already showed this when I do move to my shelves here that are next to me. So it's beautiful. This one, it kind of icks me out a little, but I'm okay with it. I don't know, it kind of bugs me. So that's the only one. Other than that, it's gorgeous. I don't love the tuck box. I don't mind tuck boxes, but sometimes they're just really difficult to get open, and you wind up sort of ruining it, which is a bummer. But fairly certain this one's still available, although I know sometimes they do go out of print. But as far as I know, they always come back in print. So, okay, 2 more decks. Each of these I have like an old shutter on my nightstand, which sounds really random. but I've put hooks in it, and so I can hang my tarot decks from it. So I've just got a couple hanging there in their bags, and I don't know why I feel the need to shuffle this right now, but there we are. This is strange cardstock. It's very thin, but I don't mind it. Shuffle's nice, but it does have a bow to it. But again, I don't care. This is an Etsy deck. It's called the Carrot Tarts Tarot. It is pips, but I really enjoy it. Colors are different, backgrounds. Adore. This one's very, every card has a story, and I love it. And I think if you were to put them in order, sort of in a line, you could see the story play out. Some of these characters reappear in, you know, more than one card. I just really like it. I don't know. I like its vibe. This is not my art style whatsoever. This goes against pretty much everything I've said so far. However, it's not vector. It's hand drawn, which I think is why I have it, why I like it and keep it. It kind of has, at least in my opinion, I don't read or watch manga. Do you watch manga? I don't know. Has that vibe, and that's not really me at all, but it's not something that's a deterrent. So I just feel like even the pips sort of, if the pips lend themselves to sitting with the card and contemplating it, like you don't just have 6 of the same paintbrush, right? You've got different paintbrushes, and then you've got this one with like, is this water dripping? Is this like, what, like a wrist, like a wrist strap? You know, they have unique aspects to them that invites questions. Like I just, you know, I guess these are the same, but I feel like where they're tipped in different ways, right? You've got up, down, and it sort of rotates. I just like it. Again, you've got different tools here, and so I don't know, there's so much to like unpack in this deck. It's enjoyable. This one, this is one that, despite keeping it on my nightstand and generally only wanting cards there that I can do a quick reading with, this is one where if I head up to bed maybe kind of early and I want to just kind of sit up and play with a deck, this will be the deck, because I can, make my spread and then really sink into each of the cards and just contemplate, like, what does this mean? Why are they all fine? You've got 2 full ones, but one's broken. I mean, that's classic 5 of Cups, right? But and here, they're all different cups. You've got stripes, tall ones, short ones, skinny ones, fat ones, dots, and I don't know. I just love this one. I don't think this is currently available, but I imagine if enough people were to message the creator, I imagine they would maybe reprint. I don't, they haven't said, at least to my knowledge, they haven't said that they wouldn't, so I guess I don't need to show every single card. I really like it. I like the colors. I like the like zigzaggy little crayon looking line. It's an enjoyable deck in every sense of the word. So here are the backs. All right, I have one deck left that's on the shutter that I was talking about by my nightstand. You guys can probably guess what it is. I feel like most of us, if we like this deck, I feel like most of us have this on our nightstand. And that's The Guardian Angels by Radley Valentine. Quick reading, 0 shuffleability, cardboardy cardstock, but it's adorable. This is a hug deck. This is a grandma deck. This is a grandma core deck. It's all of the above. It's not, I say hug deck. I mean, grandmas aren't all love and light, all the time either. So this one's going to give you the message that you need. regardless of whether or not it's going to hurt your feelings or, you know, tell you the truth that you don't want to hear. I won't flip through everyone. I know we've all seen this. I love this one. This is I have nowhere else to turn and I don't know what the hell I'm doing, so I need some grandma energy to tell me. I just need her to tell me what to do because I am confused. That's this deck and I adore it. I have trimmed mine just barely. I don't think I took off very much, but you can kind of see here. And then I edged it in these different pastel colors, which was a Dawn Michelle thing that she did. And I just thought it was really cute. So that is all of my outlier decks. I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to organize the next couple of videos because the shelves anyway, doesn't really matter. I've probably got at least 4 more videos to come. Thank you for joining me. Hopefully these aren't getting boring. I think you guys are enjoying it. Like, I don't know, it's good for me. It's good because I literally had no idea how many decks I had and I was a little bit surprised. So I'm having fun with it and it was a good way to sort of clear things out and pull things from the back and revisit decks that I have and decide which ones need to be rehomed. So I appreciate you being here and I will catch up with you guys in the next video.